What's going on, hikers? In today's video, I'm going to give you 10 ways that you can lower your base weight for free. That's right, none of these tips cost any money to do. And stick around to the very end because I have a super great bonus tip for you that's going to help you get your friends out on trail with you, especially if they're not an avid backpacker. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jeremiah Stringer, and here we talk about all things hiking and backpacking. So if you love hitting the trail, consider subscribing. Let's start with what is base weight. Base weight is the weight of all your gear with no food, fuel, or water. All right, let's start the tips. Tip number 1, stuff sacks. I love staying organized, but those stuff sacks actually do weigh something. I tossed out a couple. I tossed out the sleeping bag stuff sack and just stuffed my sleeping bag down in my pack. And secondly, the stuff sack for my mattress pad, I just used the cord, as you can see in this picture, to roll up my sleeping bag and put around it. That saved me 2 ounces right off the bat. Tip number 2, take your toothbrush and saw it in half. This is a little bit minimalist, but it will save you some weight. Tip number 3, sticking with dental hygiene, use travel size toothpaste and don't take an entire tube. Tip number 4, whenever you're hiking, make sure that you dry out your gear before you start sticking it back in your pack. Dew, rain, condensation, all those things actually collect on your gear. So if you can get it dry, you don't have to carry that little bit of water with you that comes along with wet gear. Power tip. Power cord, it'll actually hold a little bit of water. So if you're using it for your bear hanging kit, you could switch it out. This actually would cost you a little money, but you could switch it out for a different cordage that it has a coating on it and it won't hold water. Tip number 5, I say don't bring extra batteries. Now, if you're gonna do some night hiking, it may be a good idea to bring them, but worst comes to worst, you probably have your cell phone, and cell phones have a flashlight on them. So if your headlight dies and you're in a pinch, use the flashlight on your phone. Tip number 6, use your gear for multi-purposes. I've done an entire video on this. You can check it out above. And basically the gist is use your gear in as many ways as possible, because what's going to happen is it's going to prevent you from bringing more gear, which actually leads me into number 7, eliminate duplicates of things, especially when it comes to clothing. I have 1 set of clothes to hike in, I have 1 set of clothes to sleep in. Now the only things I have duplicates of when it comes to clothing is socks. Tip number 8, consider going stoveless. Now if you've never tried it, just give it a try. Basically what that means is any food you bring doesn't have to be cooked. An alternative would be cold soaking it. Not everybody loves this. I'm actually not a big fan, but your stove and your fuel, those 2 things can add up to quite a bit of weight. Tip number 9 is trimming down your sleeping pad, especially if you have a closed cell foam pad. You can trim it down, make it a little bit smaller, and save yourself some weight. Now, if you're like me and you prefer an air up pad like the Neo Air X Lite, there's a bunch of tutorial videos on if you actually wanted to cut it down a little bit and make it shorter. Now, personally, I'm not going to do that to mine, but if you want to give it a try, by all means. Now, before I tell you tip number 10, remember I have a bonus tip after this to help you get your friends out on the trail with you and also to save you some weight. Tip number 10 is whenever you're going to refill your water and you're out on the trail, camel up. Camel up means that you drink a bunch of water while you're at the water source. Then as you backpack more and more, you'll learn about how much water your body needs. Okay. Another great thing is to plan out your trip so you know when the next water source is. Now you don't have to plan out every detail, but a good idea of the distance between the 2 water sources would help you out because you won't have to carry the extra water if you know you're about to come up on a water source. Fact of the day, water weighs 2.2 pounds per liter. It's the heaviest thing that you're going to put in your backpack. So stay aware of how much water that you need. The bonus is split up the weight between the packs. My wife and I do this all the time. The best ways would be for your shelter. If you're bringing a tent, you can split up the weight of the tent poles, you can split up the weight of the stakes, the ground sheet, you can split up the weight of the actual tent and the rain fly. Another great way to save weight is split up the weight of the fuel and the stove and the cooking pot. Do me a favor, comment below and tell me some other hacks that will help you save some base weight. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe for more, and kick the notification bell for the latest notifications. We'll see you in the next video. Did you know that it is 29 degrees out here right now? But I love you guys, so I'm out here making this video.